Raducanu draws Sabalenka showdown as Djokovic faces fitness questions. Australian Open draw hands Emma Raducanu a daunting path with a likely third-round clash against Aryna Sabalenka, while Novak Djokovic's fitness remains a topic as he eyes an 11th Melbourne title. Key points: Emma Raducanu faces a challenging 2026 Australian Open draw, potentially meeting world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka by the third round. Other British players like Katie Boulter, Sonia Cardle, and Francesca Jones also face tough early round opponents at the tournament. Novak Djokovic, seeded 4th, aims for his 11th Australian Open title but enters with fitness concerns and limited recent match play. The 2026 Australian Open draw has set the tennis world abuzz, promising early fireworks and fierce battles as some of the sport's biggest names prepare for daunting paths in Melbourne. With the draw officially announced on January 15th, fans and players alike are already speculating on the potential showdowns, upsets, and historic moments that could define this year's first Grand Slam. Emma Raducanu, Britain's top-ranked woman and seeded 28th, faces a particularly challenging road if she hopes to reach the latter stages of the tournament. Her campaign begins against Thailand's Maninkaya Sabalenka, ranked number 195 and making her Grand Slam main draw debut thanks to a protected ranking. Sabalenka, who broke into the top 100 before an untimely injury, presents an intriguing first test for Raducanu, who's eager to capitalize on her seeding after a string of tough draws at majors last year. If Raducanu advances, she'll meet either Russia's Anastasia Potapova, number 59, or the Netherlands' Susan Leymans, number 85, in the second round. Both opponents offer unique challenges. Potapova's aggressive baseline play and Leymans' consistency on hard courts have earned them reputations as dangerous floaters. But it's the third round that looms largest for Raducanu, as she's projected to face world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, a two-time former Australian Open champion and arguably the most formidable seed she could have drawn at this stage. Sabalenka, who's reached the Australian Open final 3 consecutive years and is determined to reclaim her crown after last year's shock loss to Madison Keys, has proven a difficult hurdle for Raducanu. The Brit holds a 0-3 record against the Belarusian, including defeats at Wimbledon and the Cincinnati Open in 2025. Their potential third-round clash would be a rematch of last year's Wimbledon encounter, where Raducanu pushed Sabalenka but ultimately fell short. The anticipation is palpable. Can Raducanu turn the tide against a player who's had her number, or will Sabalenka's experience and power prove too much once again? Should Raducanu pull off the upset, her draw doesn't get much easier. A fourth-round matchup could bring her face-to-face with rising stars Victoria Mboko or Clara Tauson, both hungry to make their mark on the Grand Slam stage. The quarterfinals might feature battles against Jasmine Paolini, Ekaterina Alexandrova, or Marta Kostyuk, each with their own brand of tenacity and recent form. And if Raducanu's dream run continues, she could meet heavyweights like Coco Gauff, Mira Andreeva, or Elina Svitolina in the semifinals. With so many top players clustered in her half of the draw, every round promises drama and high-quality tennis. Raducanu isn't the only British hopeful facing a tough start. Katie Boulter, a late entry into the main draw, will open against world number 10 Belinda Bencic. The Swiss star is riding high after being named United Cup MVP and leading her nation to the final, making her one of the most informed players on tour. Sonia Cardle's reward for qualifying is a first-round clash with number 31 seed Anna Kalinskaya, while Francesca Jones, returning to the Australian Open main draw for the first time in 5 years, will play a qualifier before a potential second-round meeting with 12th seed Elina Svitolina. That on the men's side, the spotlight inevitably falls on Novak Djokovic. The Serbian legend, seeded 4th, enters the tournament chasing a record-extending 11th Australian Open title and a 25th Grand Slam overall. However, Djokovic's preparation has been less than ideal. He hasn't played competitively since winning the Hellenic Championship in Athens late last season and withdrew from both the ATP Finals and this month's Adelaide International, citing physical readiness concerns. He also cut short a practice session at Melbourne Park due to a neck problem, raising questions about his fitness as the tournament approaches. Djokovic's opening match pits him against Spain's Pedro Martinez, a former top 40 player now ranked 71st. Should he advance, The Serbian could face Brandon Nakashima in the third round and either Jakub Mensik or Talon Griekspoor in the fourth. But the real intrigue lies further ahead. Djokovic has landed in the same half as two-time defending champion Jannik Sinner, setting up a potential blockbuster semifinal. Sinner, who begins against France's Hugo Gaston, has become a Melbourne favourite thanks to his aggressive play and back-to-back titles. Britain's Cameron Norrie, seeded 26th, opens against France's Benjamin Bonzi and could face last year's runner-up Alexander Zverev in the third round. Jacob Fernley, who made a splash by reaching the third round here last year, starts against Poland's Kamil Majkrak. Meanwhile, Arthur Ferry, after a stellar qualifying run, joins the main draw and will face Italy's Flavio Kobali in his Grand Slam debut outside of Wimbledon. The men's draw is packed with fascinating storylines beyond the British contingent. World number 1 Carlos Alcaraz, seeking his first Australian Open and the career Grand Slam, opens against Australia's Adam Walton and could meet home favourite Alex de Minaur, the 6th seed, in the quarterfinals. De Minaur, however, faces a stern first-round test in former Wimbledon finalist Matteo Berrettini. Other projected early-round highlights include Ben Shelton vs Gael Monfils and Gregor Dimitrov against Stefanos Tsitsipas. On the women's side, the draw is equally loaded. Iga Swiatek, the 6-time Grand Slam champion and world number 2, starts against a qualifier but faces a perilous rout with 2-time champion Naomi Osaka, a potential 4th-round opponent, and 5th seed Elena Rybakina looming in the quarters. 4th seed Amanda Anisimova and defending champion Madison Keys are also in her half, ensuring no easy passage to the final. Veteran Venus Williams is set to make history as the oldest woman ever to compete in the Australian Open main draw at 45 years old, surpassing the previous record held by Kimiko Date. Williams opens against Olga Danilovic and, should she win, could face fellow American Coco Gauff in a highly anticipated second-round clash. Gauff, the 3rd seed, shares a half with Sabalenka, meaning the two cannot meet in the final and setting the stage for potential fireworks in the semis. With so many compelling matchups and storylines, the 2026 Australian Open promises to deliver from the very first ball. From Raducanu's quest for a breakthrough to Djokovic's pursuit of history and the emergence of new talents, fans can expect twists, turns, and no shortage of drama as the action unfolds in Melbourne. As the world's best prepare to battle under the Australian sun, anticipation has never been higher for what's shaping up to be a Grand Slam for the ages. When the draw speaks, Raducanu, Sabalenka, and the murmur around Djokovic, the tennis draw is a quiet thing.